Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our session, What's New in Basware Alusta. At this moment, there are special times, of course, with the virus, but nevertheless, we will continue with these webinars to keep you informed about the new features that are released by Basware. I'm here in the room with my colleague Marieke, but no worry, we are keeping a safe distance of 1.5 meters of each other. But she will send me the questions that you are asking on the subject. And hopefully I can answer them right away. If that isn't the opportunity, then I will. All right. I will answer them at the end of the session, and otherwise, if I can't answer them at all, then I will be contact you directly to explain everything. So feel free to send your questions that you have. I will. Yeah. That's me. I'm Christian Willemsen, and my experience are based on, especially on the organization and what kind of difference does this mean for the organization, the new implements about SaaS or Basware or every other else implementations. But my main goal is to look at all the processes that are initiated and changed during sessions or during optimization of those processes. That also means that I am working on a lot of business cases to help customers for the engagement of Basware SaaS. And of course, if it's helpful, also other possibilities. Over here, the agenda. So these are the 3 main topics that I will discuss today. First, a little bit of an introduction. After that, the release summary. So I will show you in some high numbers that what the new releases are. And after that, I will discuss some important new features, around 10 of them, to take some sort of deep dive within the new feature, what it means for you as an organization, and also for Basware. Let me start with the introduction. What we see over here is the new AP Pro that was announced to be released at the end of this quarter of this year. And that we are reaching right now, and it's also already available at this moment. Some of you can already use it. Then you can see in your personal environment a button with the name Accounts Payable, like it's showing right over here in this screen, and that means that you can use the new environment already. But not every functionality is already in place. So things like payment plans isn't ready at this moment. So it's of course a very important part of your cost invoice. That also means that we need to think about strategy on how to implement the new AP Pro with all the customers at this moment. That will be continued with our communication from outside, from our side later on. But you can also imagine that it's very important that we can enable it at this moment already for you at Basware. So if you are willing, if you want to use the new AP Pro with some more functionalities, then give us a call and we will see what we can do with that, because that's also, of course, very important for us with the new with the strategy that we need to follow. All right. Sorry, there was a question coming in if this is also possible just to use only or to release it on the test environment. I'm pretty sure it is, but that's something that I will need to discuss with Basware if it's only first on the test environment. So that's something that I will need to come back. So if Marieke, if you can write that question down with the right person, then we will come back to that. All right, a lot of new features that are released within Basware that we're going to show you later on are based on the new AP Pro. So it's possible that a lot of these features that you will see are not usable at this moment for you, because of course you don't have the new AP Pro. But it also gives you some inside information what is possible with the new AP Pro and not possible right now with your standard IP or your Basware SaaS environment. All right, let's get to the release summary. Our last webinar was about the new functionalities against until 19.10. So this time we will discuss all the functionalities from 19.11 until 20.3, because we are, of course, in the month March of 2020. Over here you can see a summary of all the new features. It means that there are 23 new features for purchase, 23 for AP automation, 1 for analytics, 2 based on the platform, and at this moment 0 for general. Of all those new functionalities, 42 of them are already automatically in use. So it means that when you have logged off on Friday and the next Monday in a new month, you are logging in, you can see that there are some new functionalities already in place. You can automatically use them, so we don't need any configuration from our side. There are 7 functionalities that are need to be implemented by one of our own consultants. So that means that well, sometimes it's extra configuration, or the process is changing a lot. So that means that, well, it's not only automatically in use, but we need some more guidance with that from our consultant. After that, you can see that there are at this moment no new functionalities that there is customer action needed, or including with our consultant. The functionalities that I will show you in this webinar are all automatically in use. Right, I will highlight some important new features. I will explain the screen, because this is a screen that comes back every slide at this moment. What I've done is that over here you can see in which version it was released. Then you can see in which field, so in this case, or module, I need to say. So in this case, purchase. In the dark blue, you can see what is the new feature. After that, the ID for the backlog. And then you can see if how the implementation is done. So in this case, it's automatically in use. And like I said, all the examples at this moment are automatically in use. In the center, you will see an image screen where available, and beside that, I have explained it a little bit in text. So when you're looking back at this webinar or the presentation, they both will be available at our website at ICreative Academy. So when you have credentials for those, you can log in, and you can find this webinar back, including the PowerPoint. But of course, when there is written text on it, so you can you always know what is the new feature, what does it do for you. All right, let me start with the first one. Edit partly and fully received purchase orders. Before this feature, you can only edit partly or fully received purchase orders when all the goods received were reverted to the purchase order. So it means you really have to cancel the goods received, set it back to 0, and restart again before you can edit the order. Now with the new version, you can change the purchase order without reverting the goods received. So that's a big help, because you don't have to do all your work again. And of course, there is a note to it, because the price or the received value cannot be lower than the goods received or the matched invoice already. All right, if we go forward to the next one, this is for the AP automation part. And in this case, forward invoice tasks as a batch action, and forward tasks the group. This is completely new. It means that you can collect all the tasks at one time, and you can send them right back, right forward to a group of people, group of users that you can choose from the list view, especially in the AP Pro. That's something that's new. And also very important is that when you are forwarding it to a group, that the task can be set to require only one user in a group, or that everybody in the group needs to react on it, on the task to complete it for Basware. So this can be very helpful when you are doing a lot of tasks at the same time, but not selecting the task one by one, but you can select them all and then send it forward to one group of person, or of course one person. All right, the next one. Of course, I continue to go to the next one unless there is a question about it, but then Marike will inform me. This is especially for the purchase module. You can add simplified and restricted Basware purchase users as group goods receivers. What does it mean? It means that before this, only individual users with the rights of use simplified Basware purchase or use restricted Basware purchase user rights could be selected as good receivers. Well, what's the main thing that they've changed now? Those two rights are now settled as a group within the user availability. So let me give you an example. You don't need to know which person is working at what moment when they are receiving the goods. If the person is part of the, for example, the simplified user group, select the simplified user group as a goods receiver at the moment that you are sending out the order. And it means that one of the persons inside the simplified user groups has the possibility to create the goods received at that moment. So you're not limited to one person, but you can send it to a larger group, which is of course a very important part of the process to keep it going and not have to rely on one person. All right, the next one, it's about purchase again. In this case, add and delete attachments on a purchase order. Before this one, it was only possible to adding attachments to purchase requisitions. So it means it only was for the internal organization to know which attachments were available regarding this order requisition. Now with the new change, it's possible to send all those attachments to the supplier. It doesn't matter if it is an XML or PDF order, and it doesn't even matter what kind of attachment it is. It can be an image, instructions, specifications, or floor plans. You can also delete them, and at the moment that you are uploading it, you can say that it has to be sent to the supplier. But there is also a very important part that you need to take in consideration at the moment that you are using XML orders towards a purchase or against the supplier for purchase. Because when a supplier is receiving an XML order, it means that it is full of data that is structured. At the moment, that's a very important attachment that has information about the purchase order. Then it's possible that the supplier isn't using that information because it's not in the XML order. So when you're using this with a lot of information regarding the order, it means that you need to communicate with the supplier on a different level, because normally you have an agreement about the order or a contract or things like that. So that's something that you really need to take in consideration when you are using XML orders against the supplier. It also means that you are able to delete those attachments at the moment that you have sent an order towards the supplier. Well, of course, if you are updating it because you are deleting an attachment or you are adding an attachment, it means that you have to inform the supplier that he has to do something about it or with it. Because if the supplier doesn't know it, the order can go completely wrong, of course. So this is a very nice feature which gives a lot of information when you are talking about orders. But it's also very important to understand what is the meaning of an attachment at the moment you are placing an order with your supplier. All right, here we have one that's about the platform, a very important one. At this moment, you can access the Basware P2P in multiple browsers or devices simultaneously. So that means that you can use you're logged when you are logged in on the Basware P2P, you can use different devices and different web browsers at the same time. you can use 3 active Basware sessions at one time. So you can be logged in on a mobile phone with its built-in web browser, on a laptop in Google Chrome, and the same laptop with Internet Explorer. Or you can use it on a tablet, switch to desktop for a specific task, because it's, for example, the user experience is very low when you are talking about specific tasks within a tablet, and then return to the tablet without needing to re-authenticate on the tablet again. So this is very helpful when you are using Basware. You will get a pop-up screen at the moment that you are logging in from another device. You can see that you are already logged in on another device. So it will help you to use the Basware solution completely integrated from one, well, with different devices and different browsers. Right, next one is about AP automation. In this case, the refresh for invoices in automatic process states. This is especially one for the AP Pro. You can see right here, this is the header data that is showing within the new Basware AP Pro. And of course, what is possible that could happen is that Basware is already using an invoice to process automatically, because that's something that we want, of course, to get as more high automatically rate as possible. But this also means that when you are opening an invoice, it's a read-only status at the moment, because it's automatically in use by Basware at that moment. Right now, you don't have an idea why you cannot use it at the moment. But in the new AP Pro, you will get a status update. So you can see it in the blue bar over at the top. You can see invoice is being processed. Try refreshing. Just like your web browser, press F5 to refresh the screen. In this case, you can refresh the invoice to see what is the status at this moment. And after the invoice is not being used by Basware anymore, you are able to use it to change it or whatever you do with your invoice. So this is a nice update, new feature regarding the warning system within Basware, that you are using an invoice that is also at this moment being used by Basware itself for the automation. All right, the next one is also about AP automation, also about the new AP Pro. And what you can do right now is comment on many invoices as a batch action. So it means that you can select a lot of invoices at the same time, up to 2,000. That's a lot. And you can comment those invoices with one comment box. You can see that in the screen, the image, you see comment on the invoices. Well, in this case, they've set an example, please handle these tasks. I would say only when it's urgent, because, well, a lot of invoices commenting at the same moment isn't very useful for a lot of users, but only when they say, well, these invoices need some urgency because, well, for example, we need to create a bonus, or we need to for payment discount or things like that. But you can select a lot of invoices at the same moment. Now it's in the Basware SaaS, it's only for invoice at a time, but with the new AP Pro, it's possible to select a lot of invoices at the same time. There's a very important note to this. The functionality is not available for historical invoices. So after they are transferred, we have a booking date or things like that back, then it's not possible to use the batch anymore. And it's only invoices at the time. All right, the next one is about purchase. And what you can do right now is manage manual budgets. When you are using budgets, it's very important that you have some control about it. And in this case, you can create some manual budgets. Well, for example, you can see in the screen, there are 3 budgets created, all with a different amount. different same currency in this case. And very important one is the warning limit. So you can see that when it's reaching 90% of your total amount, you will get a warning to the right approver or whatever you have set to be the person to decide what you can do with that budget. And what we see now is that there is a lot of control mechanisms within an approval flow, but one of the most underrated point of control is the budget. So when you are using, for example, an IT department, and those are in charge of all the laptops that have to be bought, you can say you only have 10,000 euros for this year to buy new laptops. You don't want to know every approval order for a laptop, but you can set the total amount of it. So when it's reaching, in this case, you say 10,000, 9,000 euros. That means it has reached 90% of its budget. They only have 1,000 euros left. You can get a warning and discuss within, well, you only are able to place 2 orders or 3 orders, for example, not anymore. So it means that you are giving a little bit of control on the order level away, but you are in control of the budget that they are able to spend on. Well, this is something that it's new. It's not very much used at this moment, but that's also something that we need to take more in consideration when talking about purchase. Of course, there's a lot of questions about budgets, a lot of questions asked about it, and now it's the feature that we can use, and that we can use more to get more control about our spend. In this case, the next one, it says it's about purchase, but to be honest, it's more about the platform. Set the visibility of the homepage. Do you want to learn more section? Every user that is using the personal client knows this section that you want to learn more. Normally, it was in everybody's screen. There was no option to rule it out or set visibility, and they have changed it now. So you can decide which organization or which administration is able to see this section in the home screen, especially handy when you have, for example, new users because you have acquired a new department or a new company which hasn't worked with Basware before. Then you can say only that department is going to see, or that administration, I have to say, will see this section. So you can moderate it at the way that's more convenient for you. All right, the next one is about the AP automation within the AP Pro. So this is only visible in the AP Pro. And what is possible to display the last comment column in invoice list. So when we are using the table of invoices, it's possible to set an extra column. You can see how it's been done with the red circles, which has the last comment inside. So you can also use it to filter it. You can use it to organize it, which means that every last comment that has been given on that invoice is able to see in your home screen. So, for example, like I just said, urgent within the 2000 invoices selected. Well, for example, if you can see over here, this is one invoice that has to say that has the comment urgent. It means that that's one that you have to pick up really quickly. So it means that you have more controllability about how to handle which invoice and how to use the right information regarding the invoice. And you know, in this case, you also have in place what you want to see from the invoice and whatnot when you are using invoices. Okay. Sorry. This is regarding the last feature. So the learning. Okay. Well, there is an extra section on the homepage that is about the internal links. I'm not really sure if that's answering the question, but it means that you can, for example, intranet or things like that, you can create links to it from the section below. Right, and does she mean with the notification tool, or because with the notification tool it is possible? All right, let's get in contact with the questionnaire later on. But thanks for the answer, or for the question, of course. All right, the next feature is about AP automation. And in this case, it's a floating supplier dialog box in the AP Pro interface. And this is also about the new AP Pro. And when you are using the header data of an invoice, when you are selecting a supplier, it will, well, at this moment, it's a drop-down menu with all the suppliers. Within a new AP Pro, you can see right here within the red box, it's a floating dialog box. So it means that you can get this section and slide it towards your next screen, for example. So when you're using the header data, or you want to change some header data from the supplier, that you get all the information inside at that moment. And because it's floating, it doesn't mean that you have to change between screens every second, and you don't have to copy paste. It doesn't know anymore what you have done already and whatnot. So now it's in one screen, or two screens, of course, if that's more handy, all the information that you need in one view. So that's very very handy, and it's a more enhancement way of changing data between screens. All right, well, those were the features that I wanted to discuss. When you have questions about the other releases that Basware has done, in our last webinar, I have showed you where you can find them and how do you use them within your own organization. The last webinar can also be found in the Academy of iCreative. Of course, if there are questions about that, then we can answer them. Well, for now, let me say thank you all for attending. Thank you for the questions, and hope to see you the next time.